everybody, welcome back to another Wind Down Wednesday with me, Janelle. What I want to talk to you tonight is about how to stop romanticizing your past relationships. What do I mean by that? I mean stop putting someone you used to date or used to love up here instead of like making them a balanced part of your past, okay? So let me give you an example. A few years ago, I used to go to the 24-hour fitness gym on Pico. And I had met this, gym friend there, and she was lovely and older. She was older than me, and her head was married. She had a completely different life. She had the wealthy lawyer husband, 2 teenage boys, she didn't work. I thought she had it pretty good, but she was miserable in her marriage, okay? Miserable. Okay, so they end up getting divorced. And then not long after that, she stopped going to the gym. Okay, a few years later, I joined the Equinox in Beverly Hills, and I ran into her there. She'd become an Equinox member. And I said, so, are you dating since the divorce? How are you doing? And she said, well, sadly, not long after, I got divorced, my husband died suddenly, or my ex-husband. And, once I sort of dealt with the trauma of all that, I haven't been able to date because nobody measures up to him. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, no one's as handsome or as smart or as thoughtful. So when I go on these dates, these guys just pale in comparison to my ex-husband. And I'm like, wait a minute, screech. You divorced him, remember? Because you were miserably unhappy in that marriage. She said, well, I said, no. Sure, he had his good qualities, but he had some qualities that made you very unhappy, or you wouldn't have been divorced. I said, you are romanticizing the memory of him. And by doing that, every guy who you meet doesn't come up to his high standards or where you placed him in your mind. They don't have a chance of getting to know you, and you don't have a chance of finding happiness. If you were always putting somebody you used to love way up here and forgetting why you guys are not together and balancing out the scales, you're never going to find happiness. She's like, you're right. I never thought of it like that. I really need to readjust my thinking on this dating thing. Anyway, I think we've all done this to a degree. My second boyfriend was a really exceptional human being, really bright and outgoing and funny and fun, and he spoiled me, and we traveled, and he was wealthy, and it was like a complete 180 from my first relationship. And in the end, I broke it off because there was things about him that I didn't think would make a good husband. But what happens, I moved to LA, I'm here, I'm alone, start dating creepy LA guys. That probably didn't help. But all of a sudden, every guy I meet, I'm like, well, he's not as good as this guy, he's not as this, he's not as that. I compared every boyfriend or every man I met to him. It all came to a screeching halt when one day he came to town and I met him for dinner. And he was with the people he worked with. And within 20 minutes of being there with him and his colleagues and friends, I remembered exactly why we had broken up. I forgot about the anger, the temper, the moodiness, the love of recreational drugs, and all sorts of things that I wasn't wanting to be a part of. And I remembered why I broke it off. So I had to stop romanticizing him in my head. Yes, there were good things, but there were some really bad things, and there were some reasons why I ended that relationship. I think you have to remember when things don't work out, they don't work out for a reason. So instead of looking to the past and dwelling on things that were great, don't forget about the things that weren't so great. We need to take the past, learn the lessons, and leave it behind, and move forward in life in every aspect. If that's a job, a friend, whatever it is, you have to focus on finding people who are going to help your life be the best life it can be. And you want a healthy relationship on all levels, but you can't compare apples to oranges. And if you keep doing that, you'll never be able to find somebody because you're always searching for something that doesn't really even exist. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. But I've learned to stop romanticizing people, friends. I tend to do that with friends too. I take their good qualities. But what if they have a lot of really bad qualities? Really bad qualities. Why are you allowing them in your life? The minute you let go of that a new wonderful friend will float in, and someone who better suits who you are now. Anyway, on that note, here's a few things to remember when you're contemplating the stopping romanticizing him notion of mine. Okay, what you really need to remember is 1, him, your first boyfriend, your first love, your first touch. Life was all about him until he dumped you for the head cheerleader, leaving you crying behind the bleachers. Yeah, so that was him. Don't romanticize that sucker. Or this also was her, like for guys out there, or like I said, he, him, her, she, they, them, whatever it is. Whatever you're in love with or whatever your pronoun is, you know, you can add it in on your own. Number 2, him, the boyfriend, the lover, the one that showed you the world and spoiled you rotten. Until he decided that his next toy would be a new Ferrari, and he was tired of playing with you. And he also traded you in for a different model, just saying. And number 3, him. He courted you, you fell for him. He married you, you vowed to love him forever. Until what happens in Vegas didn't stay in Vegas. Instead, it ended up on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. That was him. So stop romanticizing the people from your past and allow new people to come in. And anyway, that's my thought of the day. Happy Wind Down Wednesday. Put a little music on. Get a little cheeky with yourself and have a good day. Kisses.